What is happening, guys? It is Brian, Alsruhe, and today we're doing a Q&A. Now, as always, I'm gonna give you whatever my personal answer is. It may not be the right answer, it may not be the wrong answer, but you're gonna get an answer. Usually the wrong ones. But I asked you guys for questions and you guys definitely came through, so I have a ton that I'm gonna try to get through. If I do not get to your question, maybe it's because there wasn't enough time, or maybe your question was a little bit too specific and I didn't think that it could actually help a large number of people. So I didn't, if you ask me like, what is the best thing to do if you're a 185-pound power lifter that lives in Nebraska that only eats oatmeal? If you ask me something that specific, I'm probably not gonna answer it, guys, I'm sorry. So let's get into the questions. All right, next question. Jake Handler asks, have you ever been discouraged / tempted to quit lifting because you felt that you weren't strong enough? No. Here's the thing, man, there's two types of people in the world. The people who get beat up and they stay down, and the people that get beat up and they get back up and keep trying. I am one of the latter. Of course, it's highly discouraging when you're someplace that you don't want to be. But to be completely honest with you, man, that is what life is all about. You are always gonna feel inadequate. You're always gonna feel like you are not good enough. But it doesn't matter how you feel. It's about getting up and pushing hard every single day, trying to get a little better every single day. Everybody started out weak in the gym. There's not one person that walked in and deadlifted 800 pounds on their first day. He doesn't exist. Maybe he does exist. There's absolutely no doubt that some people have genetic gifts, but there are plenty of people in this world who would look at you and say that you have genetic gifts. Most people are much more fortunate than they actually think they are. They don't focus on that because they always want something else. They always want something more. But the bottom line is, getting something more is about work. And sure, some people fall into great circumstances, but for the majority of people, whether you become a success or a failure all depends on whether you got back up after that failure. Everyone fails. If you are not failing, you are not pushing. However, some people fail and they get knocked down and they stay down and they quit at whatever they were doing and they say, I'm just not good at this. I'm not good at math. So rather than trying to learn a different way to understand math, they just quit doing math and they say, I'm a bad math student. That's the end of it. I'm a bad lifter. I'm a bad squatter. I'm a bad deadlifter. But that's absolutely junk. Everything is hard at first. Riding a bike was hard at first, but you stuck with it and you learned how to do it and now you can never not do it. Don't look at so much at where you're at. Look at what you have been given and what opportunities you have in front of you. If you're not that strong, that is terrific news. That means that you have a ton of beginner gains that you can still work through, and it's going to be awesome. For someone who is more advanced and they're squatting 900 pounds, their jumps are going to come a lot less frequent. The injuries are going to be higher. They're going to feel worse after every single training session. You have a lot going for you. You guys have seen people on my site here that come to my gym who don't have their legs, who don't have their arms, and they're still getting it done. They're still competing in strongman. Never once have one of them said, oh, I can't because of my circumstances. They were people who said, I'm going to do this no matter what because this is important to me and I'm going to overcome and this is going to decide who I'm going to be today. And other people just quit. So no, I've never been tempted to quit because I did not feel like I was strong enough. I think that'd be a huge insult to all the people who would love to be where I'm at, but for whatever reason they can't get there. I know John from my gym would love to squat 700 pounds, but he doesn't have his legs. That is a massive insult to him if I don't take full advantage of the gifts that I have. And it would be a huge insult for him not to take advantage of the gifts that he has compared to other people. So no, I've never considered it. All right, Maddie Seekinen? You know who you are. And he wants to know what my favorite and least favorite strongman event is. My favorite is the Atlas Stones. And the reason why is because you can't cheat. There is no trick. There is no special secret technique that is going to get it over. There's no like special shirt that you're going to wear that's going to make that big of a difference. If you're strong enough to lift up a smooth, round stone and put it over top of a bar, there is absolutely no question that you have some really good functional strength. A lot of the other things you can kind of work around and figure out ways to make the lift easier, but an Atlas Stone, there's no faking it. There's no in between. Either you get it or you don't, so I like that a lot. And my least favorite, you guys should know, is this Circus Dumbbell. The reason why I like it least probably is because I'm probably worst at it. Yeah. It's not that it's terribly bad. My best Circus dumbbell, I think, is around 215, 220 kind of range, which isn't terrible, but I'd still like it to be better. There's absolutely no reason, if I can push 400 pounds above my head with both hands, that I can't push 250 pounds with one hand. I guess that does make complete sense. I don't know, but it doesn't mean I need to be happy about it. So I hate Circus dumbbell, but it does show up in virtually every single contest that I sign up for. So I guess I need to learn to love the Circus dumbbell. Nah. All right, Alan's Active Production asks, when is my next competitions and what are they? Here is the thing. In May, I'm going to do a strongman competition, and hopefully I will do well enough at that I will qualify for nationals. I do want to compete more often, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm gonna cut to 231 for the big competitions and the qualifiers that I need to do to get to nationals. But outside of that, I think I'm gonna start competing in the heavyweight class, the above 231, not because I think I'll be competitive. I think most of those guys are going to beat me. However, those weights are closer to the actual events weights that are at nationals or platinum plus shows or bigger shows. So I'll probably be doing the heavyweight category for local events here coming up. And then I do have plans to do a powerlifting competition this year. So I don't even know who it's sanctioned through or what the case is. I'm not going to train for it. It is not important to me. I could care less about it. However, it's a local competition that is very close to my gym, and all the proceeds go towards a Make-A-Wish Foundation child in the area who I think it's a good cause. I want to get behind that. So I will do a powerlifting competition. I don't know if it's sanctioned. I don't know who it's through. I don't know any of the specifics, but yeah, I'm probably going to do that. I think it's in like July or June or something like that. But like I said, I'm not really going to train for it. I'm just going to show up and try to get a total. All right, next question comes from Andre Lonesis. Sorry, dude. And he wants to know if I can suggest any books or other sources that help me both about lifting and life. Yeah, I do a lot of reading, and I've read some of absolutely amazing books, but really not so much about lifting. I would say most of the books I've read about lifting definitely are kind of antiquated. I will say that Starting Strength was a great help in learning the basics of the big three movements. I would say his Practical Programming was a decent book. I would say, of course, Super Training. I love reading the stuff at Elite FTS and T Nation, depending on the article and the author. Some is definitely better than others. But there are a couple authors that I can recommend, one of which is Stephen Pressfield, especially his book called The War of Art. It is an awesome book that is going to get you up off your butt and get you moving. I love Cormac McCarthy novels. I love Dave Eggers stuff. I love Ayn Rand. All those would be fiction, but they definitely make you a better individual for reading it. But two books that I definitely do recommend that most people read are The Talent Code and Talent is Overrated. Both of those books talk about what really makes world-class performers and whether it is all genetics or if it's all hard work or is it a mix between the two, or what do high-level performers do that other people do not. And I think those two books do an awesome job of covering that topic, and I 100% believe in what they're saying in it. So there you go. I wish I could be more specific, but honestly, I get most of my lifting stuff these days from YouTube. I don't really get it from books. All right, next question comes from AJ Milrun. How do you feel about people who are exceedingly small, 160 pounds and less, 5'7", trying to compete in strongman, given that the lightweight strongmen seem to have average body weight of around 180? No, they don't. Come from a guy who competes in the 148 weight class in powerlifting. Strongman training looks like so much fun, but I have no idea if there's competitive scene for lightweight guys. There absolutely is, brother. So it's becoming more and more prevalent as the sport grows, but there is a 150 pound class for many, many people. The next jump up after that is 175. And then after that, it's below 200. So you're looking at two classes before you even get to the 200 pound range. And trust me, they are competitive. You need to be able to be a strong guy who lifts a lot of weight, because the 150 pound guys who are at the Arnold, who are the top at nationals, are no joke. So I would absolutely encourage you to do that, man. Plus the strongman lifts are only gonna help grow your powerlifting numbers, and it's gonna be a different stimulus for your body, so you're gonna get different growth. And if you do get bigger, then you're gonna end up moving up to the 175-pound class. It's really not that big of a deal to be a small guy, and don't worry about height. I get that a lot. People always ask like, what, I'm too short to do strongman. No, you're not. No one's too short to do strongman. My wife, who is Maryland's strongest woman in the 120-pound class, is like 4 foot nothing, pretty much. She's like 4 foot. She's small. She's very, very small. In some of the events, being shorter is actually a benefit. Something like a car deadlift, you don't need to bend over as far to get that rack. That rack doesn't change with how tall you are. So if you're 6'9" and you need to bend over to pick up car deadlift, that's gonna be harder. That's gonna be like lifting from a deficit, as opposed to someone that may be shorter, they're doing more of just a lockout. So that benefits you in that situation. When picking up a stone, the pick is easier if you're smaller. The load is harder because you need to be able to roll the stone up higher in order to get it onto a platform, but there are good sides and bad sides to being tall and short, being big, being fat, being skinny, being small. There are benefits to everything. Do not focus on what you do not have, focus on what you do have. I do think you should compete in the 150-pound class, and I think you would absolutely love it. All right, next question. Dagger Doom asks, what are your favorite variations of the main lifts? So for squats, it's definitely SSB squats or front squats, one of those two. For bench press, it is probably the close grip bench press, is my favorite variation. And then for deadlifts, it will be the banded deadlift. I think that probably provides me the most benefit out of something like deficits or rack pulls or anything like that. I really do think that the banded deadlift is probably the best for me as far as deadlift's concerned. All right, John Michael Barnhill asked, you said you don't do bicep work to grow, but what about triceps? Any work on them, or do they just get supplemental work through other movements? So, like I said, I do not train my biceps directly. I do not do any sort of curls. I literally haven't since high school. I think they are a complete waste of time. I think weighted pull-ups, farmer's walk, strongman movements, all of those are gonna hit your biceps 1,000 times harder than a curl ever will. So I do not do bicep exercises. Now triceps, I do movements that more focus on triceps, something like close grip bench press or a floor press. I do a lot of weighted dips. I do a lot of body weight dips. I will throw in some tricep extensions with a band, just banded tricep extensions at the end, at the very, very end of my workout, just to burn out my triceps. So it's very similar to like a banded face pull at the end of a delt workout or a back workout. Something that really isn't going to make that much of a difference at all. It just helps make the muscle feel like it's done for the day. So I will do some banded tricep extensions, but outside of that, absolutely not. I don't do kickbacks, I don't do skull crushers, I don't do any of that. Almost all of my tricep strength comes from big basic movements like the close grip bench press, floor press, strict press, yeah. So no, I don't really do direct tricep work that often. All right, next question comes from Cody Sprigg. He asked, the main reason why I love your videos is because you have solid physique and you're strong, thank you. And you want to know, is physique important to you, or is it just byproduct from conditioning and making weight for competitions? And do you think the fat that most strongmen carry around gives them any sort of advantage? Okay, here's a couple things. Number one, I do not care about my physique. Of course I care about my physique in the idea that I don't want to look like a slob. There is no doubt that that does matter to me. However, I do not train to look good taking my shirt off. That's not why I train. I train for performance, and all of the aesthetic stuff is a great byproduct, but I don't really care about it. Now, you said most strongmen carry around fat, and I don't think that's true. I would say most heavyweight pro strongmen carry around a lot of fat, but that's because they don't have to make weight. If you are in the 231 class or the 200 class or the 175 class or the 150 class, you need to make weight. And you will see more and more of those guys who actually have to make weight having physiques similar to mine, especially in the top echelons of the sport. Then you will see guys who are just carrying around a lot of extra body fat, because at a lighter weight, there's absolutely no reason why you should carry around that body fat and compete in a higher weight class, because the weights move up substantially between weight classes. Now, as far as being bigger or having more fat in the unlimited weight class, in the open weight class, like you just saw Brian Shaw at the Arnold, when you are moving that much weight, when you are asked to move 1,650 pounds on a yoke, your body weight is gonna matter. My frame is not gonna hold that structure nearly as well as Brian Shaw's frame is going to. So for those guys, moving weights that extremely heavy, there is an absolute benefit. For a show as heavy as the Arnold, you're gonna see everyone push their body weight up so that they can move more weight faster, more efficiently, and it won't beat them up nearly as bad and risk injury as much. Now, for something like World's Strongest Man that's typically a little bit more light and athletic, you will see guys dropping weight because it does not pay to have that extra mass if you're not moving extremely, extremely heavy weights. So I hope that answers your question, man. Thanks a lot for asking it. All right, guys, so that is the end of part 1 of the Q&A. There were a lot of questions. I'm probably gonna break this into a 2-part thing, so you will be seeing that. But I thank you guys so much for your questions. Until I see you later in the week, go out and do something amazing, realize, keep working hard, be nice to each other, and I will see you then.